The U.S. Navy is one of the world's most technologically advanced and globally active military forces. Its operations span the Pacific, Atlantic, Arctic, and Indian Oceans, with hundreds of ships, submarines, aircraft carriers, and bases. The Navy views itself as a protector, defending coastlines, stabilizing trade routes, and responding to environmental threats. But military protection has an environmental cost. The Navy generates enormous quantities of hazardous waste, acoustic pollution, and chemical exposure. From toxic jet fuel leaks to sonar-induced whale strandings, these harms are not just isolated incidences, they're systemic. Understanding this is important because oceans absorb 90% of excess planetary heat, support marine biodiversity, and serve billions of people. Environmental harm in oceans is therefore not just an ecological issue, it's a social justice one. Green criminology helps us analyze these harms not as accidents, but as consequences of structural power, state immunity, and institutional practices that normalize environmental damage. The U.S. military has a long history of hazardous waste practices. Research on burn pit exposures, documented by Hunter and colleagues in 2024, reveals severe respiratory and neurological risks from burning plastics, medical waste, metals, and fuel-soaked debris. While burn pits are more common in land operations, they reflect a broader pattern within the military: the normalization of toxic waste disposal. These toxins do not disappear at sea. They enter marine environments through runoff water, solvent dumps, firefighting foams, paint residue, and fuel runoff. A 2021 study in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health notes that the Navy personnel frequently encounter harmful chemicals as a part of routine operations, and if personnel are exposed, so are the ecosystems that receive these pollutants. In 2022, sailors aboard the USS Nimitz and the USS Abraham Lincoln reported a strange taste and odor in their drinking water. Lab samples revealed that JP5 jet fuel, which is a highly volatile and toxic fuel, had contaminated the ship's water supply. Some sailors developed rashes, nausea, and neurological symptoms. Initially, the Navy dismissed the issue, but as illnesses mounted, it launched a formal investigation. This was not merely a shipboard failure, it was a reflection of systemic weaknesses. Maintenance lapses, aging infrastructure, and delayed reporting allowed thousands of gallons of contaminated water to circulate the ships. These same vulnerabilities lead to ocean contamination whenever fuel tanks leak or aircraft carriers discharge wastewater. What happened on board mirrors what often happens beneath the surface. Contamination goes unnoticed until humans are harmed in the process. Shipboard pollution is something that has challenged engineers for decades. As early as 1972, Rowell documented the Navy's struggle to manage onboard waste without simply dumping it at sea. Costs were high, technologies were limited, and ecological concerns often took a backseat to mission efficiency. While waste reduction systems have improved since then, modern vessels still generate plastics, metals, oils, solvents, and sewage, much of which ultimately enters the oceans. Even advanced technologies like ship stabilization systems, studied by Epkin and colleagues in 2022, improve efficiency but also alter wave patterns and increase underwater noise pollution. Perhaps the most visible, yet invisible, form of harm is acoustic pollution from military sonar. Mid-frequency active sonar used in submarine detection creates sound waves so powerful they can travel hundreds of miles underwater. Marine scientists, including Parsons and his colleagues in 2022, have documented a clear connection between Navy sonar and mass whale strandings, particularly among beaked whales. Internal hemorrhaging, disorientation, and panic behaviors often kill animals within hours. Zerbel's 2011 study shows that even legal challenges brought to the U.S. Supreme Court failed to restrict sonar use. National security outweighed the ecological risk. National security outweighing ecological risk is what causes most of these problems because legally the risk trumps the ecological risk. Finally, the presence of naval bases themselves creates environmental risk. Zimmerman's 2021 research shows that the bases face sea level rise, chemical storage vulnerabilities, and waste management issues that affect both surrounding communities and marine environments. These events paint a picture of systemic, long-term ecological harm. To truly understand these harms, we have to just move beyond the description and ask ourselves, why do these keep happening? Green criminology exposes the role of state power. The Navy operates under broad legal immunity. Activities classified as national security are often exempt from environmental laws. This shields the Navy from scrutiny and accountability. As Kramer and Michalowski argue in their work on state corporation crime, powerful institutions often commit harmful acts not out of malicious intent, but because their missions are prioritized above environmental or human well-being. In the Navy's case, environmental damage becomes collateral, technically legal yet ethically devastating. Inside the Navy, a culture of urgency and operational readiness dominates. Environmental protocols are frequently deprioritized because they are seen as obstacles to efficiency. Bauer et al. In 2021 note that environmental health and occupational safety often fall secondary to mission imperatives. This internal culture reinforces a cycle that problems are only addressed after they become crises. Naval technology is incredibly advanced. Nuclear carriers, sonar arrays, jet aircrafts, and complex fuel systems each introduce new risk. The more complex the system, the more potential failure points exist. Jet fuel leaks, sonar malfunctions, waste treatment failures, and propulsion disturbances are not anomalies, they're built into the system. Green criminology emphasizes that victimization is not limited to humans. Whales disoriented by sonar, coral reefs suffocated by pollutants, and fish poisoned by chemical runoffs are all victims, yet they cannot speak or bring on lawsuits. As Brisman and South argue, environmental crime often involves the silent suffering of species whose experiences go unnoticed or unreported. Oceans have become zones of invisible victimization. The U.S. Navy protects coastlines and shapes global security, but at a hidden environmental cost. From toxic waste and fuel contamination to sonar-induced whale deaths and base-related pollution, the Navy's ecological footprint is large, systemic, and often overlooked. Through green criminology, we uncovered patterns of power, immunity, and cultural practice that allow these harms to persist. Recognizing these issues is the first step towards accountability, transparency, and environmental protection. Oceans sustain all life on Earth. Protecting them should be a matter of global security. and that responsibility includes military institutions that rely on them the most. Thank you for watching this, and please respond with any questions and feel free to research this topic further. Thank you.